Introduction. Not all battles are physical, some are spiritual. Have you ever felt someone in your life was draining your energy, bringing chaos, or pushing you away from your purpose? Maybe it's a friend who constantly stirs up drama, a coworker who thrives on deception, or even a close family member who seems to always pull you into negativity. But what if I told you this isn't just bad luck or toxic behavior? What if there's something deeper at work? Negativity isn't always random. Sometimes there are unseen forces influencing people, using them as vessels to spread confusion, fear, and destruction. Some individuals may not even realize they're being manipulated by something dark, something that works behind the scenes to break your spirit, steal your peace, and keep you from reaching your full potential. Today we're going to uncover the 7 signs a demon may be using someone in your life. And once you recognize these signs, you'll see the truth in a way you never have before. And trust me, when you expose them, watch how fast they come running. Have you ever noticed how certain people always seem to bring chaos wherever they go? No matter where they are, drama seems to follow them like a shadow. It's as if they thrive on stirring things up, creating conflict even when it's unnecessary. They're the ones who can turn a calm situation into a battlefield, or twist a simple conversation into a full-blown argument. It's exhausting, isn't it? You feel like you're constantly on edge, never sure what to expect next. This is one of the clearest signs that something deeper, something darker may be at play. Demonic influence often manifests through chaos. It thrives in confusion and disruption. Think about it. When you're constantly in turmoil, your energy is drained, your peace shattered, and your purpose becomes harder to focus on. It's not just about an annoying person, it's about an invisible force using that person to keep you off balance. In the Bible it's written, "For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace." 1 Corinthians 14:33. If someone is consistently bringing chaos into your life, disrupting your sense of stability, it's a red flag. It's not just their bad behavior, it's a deliberate attempt to pull you away from the peace God intends for you. These forces seek to destabilize you, to lead you into confusion and unrest, so they can rob you of your spiritual strength. Chaos doesn't just show up in the form of loud arguments or visible conflict. It can also sneak in quietly through small, subtle disruptions that start to add up. It could be a friend who constantly spreads gossip, or a colleague who brings negativity into the workplace. Over time, it starts to erode your sense of peace. You may even begin to feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly trying to avoid the next conflict or blow-up. But this isn't normal. It's not just part of life. It's a tactic used to distract you from your purpose. The key is recognizing this pattern. When someone in your life is consistently creating chaos, ask yourself, is this just their personality, or is there something deeper happening? Are they unknowingly being used as a vessel for disruption? It's essential to protect your peace, because without it, you can't focus on what really matters. When chaos is constantly entering your life, it's hard to hear God's voice, to stay focused on your goals, and to maintain a clear vision of your future. But once you recognize this sign, you can start to take action. You can set boundaries, protect your spiritual space, and refuse to let the chaos consume you. And remember, once you start to take a stand and push back against the chaos, that's when the real battle begins. The forces behind the chaos will start to reveal themselves. And trust me, they won't stick around once they realize you're no longer an easy target. Another unsettling sign to watch out for is manipulation and deceit. There are people who seem to have a way of twisting the truth distorting facts and turning situations to their advantage, often at your expense. They'll play mind games, gaslight you into doubting your own reality, and bend the truth until you're questioning everything you thought you knew. This kind of behavior isn't just a sign of a toxic personality, it's a powerful tool of negative, even demonic influence. Demonic forces thrive on deception. Think about the first temptation in the Garden of Eden. The serpent didn't come with an outright lie. Instead, it twisted the truth just enough to make Eve question God's word. Did God really say that? He asked. It wasn't about making Eve believe something entirely false. It was about causing confusion, making her doubt the truth, and leading her down a path of destruction. The same pattern is often at play when someone manipulates you. They don't come out and say things that are blatantly false. They plant seeds of doubt, distort the narrative, and make you question what's real. They might even convince you that you're the problem or that you're overreacting when deep down you know something isn't right. This is how manipulation works. It erodes your confidence, weakens your resolve, and ultimately puts you in a place of vulnerability. This can happen in all kinds of relationships, in friendships, work, or even within families. It's that person who, when confronted with the truth, tries to deflect by making you feel guilty or by changing the subject to something unrelated. They know how to control the narrative, how to make themselves appear as the victim while you're left trying to piece together what's real and what's been distorted. It's important to understand that manipulation doesn't always look overt. Sometimes it's subtle, small remarks that leave you second-guessing yourself, or innocent-looking actions that hide an underlying agenda. But the more you encounter this behavior, the clearer it becomes that something isn't just off with the person, but something else is guiding their actions. When manipulation and deceit are constantly at play, they can lead to spiritual blindness. You start to lose trust in your own judgment and begin to rely on the manipulator's version of reality. This is exactly what negative forces want: to control your thoughts, your decisions, and your perception of reality. They want to keep you trapped in confusion and doubt so you can't see the truth clearly. But once you recognize these tactics for what they are, you can begin to break free from their grip. You don't need to accept the distorted version of reality they're trying to sell you. You have the power to trust your instincts, to stand firm in your truth, and to expose their lies. Once you do, you'll start to see these manipulators retreat, because the lies they've built their power on no longer have any hold over you. Have you ever felt utterly drained after spending time with someone? Not just physically exhausted, but emotionally and spiritually depleted. You leave their presence feeling weak, questioning your own worth, and disconnected from your purpose. It's as if your energy has been siphoned away, leaving you with nothing but a sense of emptiness. This is another key sign that someone in your life may be under the influence of darker forces, unknowingly draining your life. These individuals seem to have an uncanny ability to make everything about them. They demand attention, validation, and emotional support, but when it's your turn to share or express your own needs, they're nowhere to be found. It's a one-way street, and you're left feeling exhausted from constantly giving without receiving. This isn't just bad manners or selfishness, it's a spiritual tactic designed to wear you down. When people are used as vessels for negative forces, they often become energy vampires. They thrive on sucking the life out of you, either by pushing you to the brink with their endless demands, or by bombarding you with negativity until you feel like there's no hope. In the spiritual realm, this is often referred to as a form of oppression. When a person knowingly or unknowingly becomes a conduit for forces that deplete the energy and well-being of others. It's easy to write this off as just being around a toxic person, but the truth is, these energy drains are not just personality flaws, they are symptoms of something deeper. This spiritual oppression can make you feel as though you're walking through life in a fog, unable to find clarity or direction. You begin to feel disconnected from the things that once brought you joy and peace, and your sense of self-worth begins to crumble. This is exactly the effect that negative forces aim for, to make you feel isolated, worn out, and spiritually empty. The Bible speaks of spiritual oppression and how we are not meant to carry such heavy burdens. In Matthew 11:28, Jesus says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." This promise of rest is not just physical, it's spiritual. When you're under attack by someone who is unknowingly draining you, you begin to lose sight of that peace, and the rest that you deserve feels out of reach. When you recognize this draining behavior, it's essential to protect your energy. Take a step back and evaluate the impact this person has on your life. Are they helping you grow, or are they only taking from you? Are they filling your cup, or is it always empty after you engage with them? This awareness is the first step to breaking free from the cycle of depletion. Setting boundaries becomes key in this situation. It's not selfish to protect your spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being. It's necessary for survival. You have to recognize that your energy is a precious resource, and you can't afford to let anyone or anything take it from you without your consent. As you begin to protect yourself from these draining influences, you'll notice a shift in your spirit. You'll feel more vibrant, more aligned with your purpose, and more capable of facing the challenges that lie ahead. And when you do, you'll find that those who once drained you will either start to change their behavior or fade out of your life entirely, because negativity can't survive in the light of your newfound strength. One of the most alarming signs that someone may be under the influence of negative forces is when they begin to encourage you to sin. It's not just a matter of harmless bad habits or a few wrong decisions. It's when they actively push you toward destructive behaviors that go against your values, your morals, and your spiritual well-being. They might seem harmless at first, offering small justifications for things you know deep down are wrong, and before you know it, you crossed a line you never thought you would. It starts innocently enough. Maybe it's a friend who encourages you to gossip, or a coworker who convinces you to cut corners at work. They might suggest drinking excessively, engaging in inappropriate relationships, or pursuing materialistic goals at the cost of your integrity. It might feel like harmless fun at first, but the more you indulge, the more it pulls you away from who you truly are and the purpose you were meant to fulfill. You might even start to question your own values, convincing yourself that maybe you've been too strict or self-righteous in the past. But deep inside, you know these actions are wrong. This is a clear sign of spiritual manipulation. The forces behind these suggestions don't want you to stay grounded in your principles. They want to lead you into a life of compromise, where every small step away from your moral compass makes it easier for you to continue sliding down a dangerous. They want to isolate you from your faith, from your convictions, and from the clarity that comes when you're walking in alignment with your higher purpose. The Bible warns us about these kinds of temptations. Now in Peter 5:8 it says, "Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour." The forces behind these temptations know exactly where you're vulnerable, and they will use the people around you to exploit that weakness. They'll get you to compromise just a little at first, but soon enough, they'll have you so far from your true path that you'll find it hard to return. What's more disturbing is that the person encouraging you to sin might not even realize the role they're playing. They may truly believe they're helping you, or they might be completely unaware that they've become a pawn in a larger, darker plan. But the danger is real, and the damage can be severe. Sin doesn't just affect one area of your life, it spreads, contaminating your relationships, your mindset, and even your ability to live with purpose and peace. Recognizing this influence in your life is critical. It's important to take a step back and ask yourself, is this person pushing me toward actions that align with my values, or are they leading me down a path I know I shouldn't go? If the latter is true, it's time to set clear boundaries and protect yourself from these harmful influences. Don't let anyone, knowingly or unknowingly, lead you away from your integrity. Because once you begin to compromise, the cost can be much higher than you realize. In the end, resisting these temptations isn't just about avoiding sin, it's about protecting your soul. When you stand firm in your values and refuse to be led astray, you'll find that those who encourage you to sin will either fall away or change their behavior. You'll be stronger, more aligned with your purpose, and ultimately more connected to the peace that comes from living with integrity. Another unmistakable sign that someone might be under the influence of negative forces is when they show extreme hatred toward anything godly, righteous, or pure. Have you ever been around someone who mocks your faith, ridicules your values, or outright criticizes the things that bring you peace and purpose? Maybe they belittle your commitment to prayer, discourage you from reading your spiritual texts, or undermine your beliefs in front of others. This behavior isn't just a difference in opinion. It's a direct attack on your spiritual well-being, and it's a classic sign of deeper, darker forces at work. When someone consistently shows hostility toward anything that represents goodness, it's not just a matter of personal disagreement, it's a spiritual battle. These negative forces operate in the shadows, influencing people to reject light and truth. They can't stand the things that bring you closer to your higher self and the divine purpose you're meant to fulfill. They use those around you as pawns to diminish your connection to God, to your spiritual practices, and to the values that keep you grounded in peace and clarity. This is why the person who once might have been supportive of your faith can turn into one of your harshest critics, mocking your beliefs or making you feel embarrassed about your commitment. The Bible speaks clearly about the opposition to godly things. In 2 Timothy 3:12 it says, "Indeed, all who desire to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted." This doesn't mean that every person who disagrees with you is a direct vessel for negative forces, but it does highlight the reality that when you follow a righteous path, you will encounter resistance. And sometimes that resistance can come from the people you least expect. People who have been influenced by negativity often cannot comprehend your faith, your values, or your dedication to living a good life. They might mock your efforts, belittle your commitment, and make you feel like you're out of touch with reality. The more you stand firm in your beliefs, the stronger their opposition might become. This kind of behavior is rooted in fear and confusion. The people who mock or criticize your faith don't always understand what they're doing. Their actions may be driven by insecurity, bitterness, or even spiritual blindness. Negative forces feed off fear and confusion, and they use it to perpetuate doubt and division. They want to isolate you from your truth and discourage you from following the path that leads you to peace and purpose. It's not just about disagreeing with you. It's about trying to weaken your spiritual foundation to make you question the very beliefs that keep you strong. So when you encounter this kind of resistance, it's important not to internalize the negativity. Understand that it's not about you, it's about the spiritual forces at work behind the scenes. When someone's hostility toward your faith or values begins to affect your peace, it's time to take a step back and examine why they are so opposed to what brings you joy, clarity, and connection to your higher purpose. If you find yourself constantly defending your beliefs or feeling ashamed of your values because of someone else's hostility, remember that this is a tactic of spiritual oppression. The negative forces at play don't want you to stand strong in your faith or to feel empowered by your beliefs. They want you to shrink back, to hide, and to feel isolated from your purpose. But once you recognize this influence, you can start to reclaim your power. Stand firm in your values, protect your spiritual space, and know that the resistance you face is only temporary. Those who mock or criticize will eventually fade away or become less effective as you continue to walk confidently in your truth. Have you ever had someone in your life who seems to always bring you down, no matter how hard you try to stay positive? It's like they specialize in pointing out your flaws, reminding you of your mistakes, and constantly reinforcing negative thoughts about yourself. Every time you're on the verge of doing something great or achieving a milestone, they're there, discouraging you, reminding you of all the reasons you'll fail. This is another powerful sign that someone might be under the influence of darker, destructive forces. Negative forces thrive on discouragement. They want to keep you in a state of self-doubt, preventing you from moving forward and reaching your potential. They'll use others, especially those close to you, to plant seeds of insecurity and fear. These people may not even realize it, but they're subtly reinforcing the lies that you're not good enough, that you'll never succeed, or that your dreams are unrealistic. They may disguise it as tough love or just being honest, but deep down you know that their words sting in a way that's meant to chip away at your confidence. This kind of behavior is spiritual sabotage. The forces at work behind these discouraging words and actions are designed to keep you from realizing your true potential and purpose. In moments when you should be stepping out in faith, reaching for your dreams, and pursuing what you know deep down is your calling, these negative voices emerge to create doubt. They'll make you second-guess yourself, question your abilities, and wonder if it's even worth trying. The goal is to wear you down, to convince you that you're not capable, not worthy, and that it's better to just give up before you fail. It's important to recognize that these negative voices aren't always external. Sometimes they come from within. Thoughts of failure, doubts about your worth, fear of what others will think. These internal struggles are just as real as the external discouragement, and they're often fueled by the same negative influences. The enemy works through every avenue he can, trying to get you to believe that you can't, that you're not enough, and that it's safer to play small than to take the risk of stepping into the greatness you were created for. The Bible offers guidance in moments of self-doubt. Philippians 4:13 reminds us, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." When you're confronted with negativity, whether from others or your own mind, it's crucial to remember that your strength comes from something much greater than your circumstances or the opinions of others. You are not defined by the limitations others place on you or the lies you've been led to believe about yourself. You are defined by your divine potential and the purpose God has set before you. Recognizing discouragement for what it is, an attack on your spirit, gives you the power to reject it. You don't have to accept the negativity or let it dictate your future. Instead, you can choose to reject the lies and stand firm in the truth of who you are. The more you push back against these negative forces, the more you will realize that their power over you diminishes. People who once sought to discourage you will either fade away or see that their words no longer have the same effect. And as you continue to stand strong in your purpose, you'll find that you begin to rise above the negativity, stepping into the full potential that has always been yours. One of the most chilling signs that someone in your life might be unknowingly influenced by dark forces is when they lead you into isolation. It starts off subtly with them making small remarks about how you don't need others, how you're better off alone, or how certain people in your life are holding you back. They may claim they have your best interests at heart, but in reality, their goal is to separate you from the support system that's essential for your growth and well-being. This isolation can feel comforting at first, like you're gaining independence or clarity, but in truth, it's a tactic designed to make you more vulnerable and easier to control. Negative forces know that when you're isolated, you're more susceptible to confusion, fear, and doubt. It's easier for them to feed you lies when you don't have others around to help you see through the deception. Isolation allows these forces to work in the shadows, away from the light of truth and community. They want you to doubt your value, to feel like you're not worthy of healthy relationships or supportive connections. And slowly but surely, they push you into a corner where you feel like you're alone in the world, with no one who truly understands or cares about you. This tactic of isolation is not just about physical separation, it also manifests emotionally and spiritually. It's when people subtly distance you from those who encourage you, inspire you, and help you stay grounded in your values. They might convince you that those people are toxic, untrustworthy, or even harmful to your personal growth. This is especially dangerous because the very people who could help you see through the darkness are the ones being painted as enemies. The more you buy into this narrative, the further you drift away from the support you need to thrive. In the Bible, we're warned about the dangers of isolation and the importance of community. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion." We weren't created to live in isolation. We were made for relationships, for support, for accountability. When someone encourages you to cut ties with the very people who can help you grow, you're witnessing a clear attempt to keep you isolated from the love and strength that comes from community. Isolation can take a toll on your spirit. It's when you feel disconnected from your purpose, from the people who care about you, and even from God. Negative forces want you to believe that you're better off on your own. But the truth is that without community, you lose the power of connection, the power of shared strength, and the power of love. When you isolate yourself, or when someone else leads you into isolation, you become an easy target for negativity to take root in your mind and soul. You start to question your worth, doubt your decisions, and lose your sense of direction. Recognizing isolation for what it truly is, an attack on your spiritual, emotional, and relational well-being, can help you break free from its grip. You don't have to allow anyone or anything to separate you from the people who uplift you. You don't have to believe the lies that tell you that you're better off alone. The truth is, your strength is in your relationships, your connections, and your community. And when you begin to rebuild those ties, rejecting the isolation that was being pushed on you, you will find that the darkness loses its hold. The forces that once sought to keep you alone will begin to retreat because you're no longer an easy target. You're surrounded by the light of love, purpose, and the support of those who truly care. In conclusion, recognizing the signs that someone in your life may be unknowingly influenced by dark forces is the first step toward protecting yourself. These signs are often subtle, but they can have a profound impact on your spiritual, emotional, and mental well-being. Once you identify them, it's crucial to set firm boundaries. Protect your energy, your peace, and your sense of self by distancing yourself from those who drain you, discourage you, or lead you away from your higher purpose. Strengthening your spiritual life is the next layer of defense. Prayer, faith, and wisdom are your armor against negative influences. By staying connected to your source of strength, whether that's through prayer, meditation, or seeking wisdom from your spiritual teachings, you build an unshakable foundation that can withstand any attack. Keep your focus on the light and let it guide you through the darkness. Strengthening your relationship with God and the community around you can act as a shield, ensuring that you remain resilient in the face of spiritual opposition. It's also essential to remove toxic influences from your life. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who encourage your growth, and who reflect the values you hold dear. These positive relationships act as a support system, reinforcing your purpose and helping you stay true to your path. If someone is leading you into negativity, isolating you, or tempting you away from your spiritual goals, it's time to reassess that relationship. Protect yourself from those whose intentions are not aligned with your well-being. Finally, encourage self-reflection. Take a moment to ask yourself, who in my life might be operating under these influences? And am I unknowingly allowing them to control my energy? It's important to be honest with yourself and recognize when someone or something is affecting your peace, your clarity, or your purpose. The more aware you are, the better equipped you'll be to take control of your energy and your life. Remember, you have the power to protect yourself from negative forces. By setting boundaries, strengthening your spiritual life, removing toxic influences, and practicing self-reflection, you can reclaim your energy, your peace, and your purpose. You don't have to let anyone or anything dictate your path. Stand firm and watch how those who are not meant to be in your life will fall away, leaving you stronger and more aligned with the purpose you were always meant to fulfill.